So these are the top 25 free agents for this year, in my opinion. Or I should say, our opinion, because it's not just me here at Mayday. Kyle Tucker's number one, obviously, and then Bregman and Bellinger. You can flip them, flop them around. But then we see our first starting pitcher at Framber Valdez. So in my opinion, I want to talk a little bit about the pitchers on this list. We got Framber, we got Cease, who had arguably a down year last year. Then you go down to Ranger Suarez, who's, again, not lighting up the radar gun, but he does have great command, so he's a good one. But that's only 3 in the top 10. So now, like, where are these guys going? Now we know Trent Grisham took the qualifying offer, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Then you got to come all the way down here to Giolito and Bassett. So there's not a ton of starting pitching out here. And Merrill Kelly. I think Merrill Kelly, actually, I would probably slide him back up there a little bit more. But overall, pretty good. And the only reason Schwarber, by the way, is 8 is just because he's a DH. Like, that just limits his teams. So, like, sometimes, like, Kyle Tucker could play for anybody, right? He'll make anybody better. Alex Bregman also would make most people better at starting pitching. Bo Bichette now is pretty versatile, and he's probably the best, I think, pound for pound, maybe just hitter on this list. So a lot of interesting things happening here, but that, you notice there's just not a ton of starting pitching here. It'll be interesting to see what happens there and if the Orioles are in on any of them. But there are 5 free agent things that I would love to see, but I want to be very clear here. I'm going to give a shout out to my producer DK. I did kind of throw a curveball on this one a little bit. I wanted to approach this from let's imagine that small market teams would actually spend a little bit of money. Like, what teams would they just fit on well who are actually looking for some free agents? I don't think that most of these guys are even going to be bid on by these teams, but if they did, it would be a really they would fit perfectly onto the team they're going to, right? So instead of just going, hey, Mets, Dodgers, Yankees, Dodgers, Mets, Dodgers, like, instead of doing that, I did some way outside of left field, literally sometimes, and got outside the box a little bit. The first free agent fun I want to see is, and in that same spirit, the Pittsburgh Pirates signing anybody. Now, there was an article written by Jeff Passan. Go check out the full article on ESPN. And he reported the Pirates are seriously trying to spend some money this offseason. Come again? I guess they were in on Josh Naylor. I guess they got barely up there. You know, as we all know, as everyone knows that watches baseball, the Pirates' largest free agent contract they've ever offered and signed was 3 years for $39 million to Francisco Liriano, which is ridiculous. Okay? I guess they offered double that, more than double that to Josh Naylor. But surprising absolutely nowhere, Josh Naylor goes, okay, what else are you going to do? And they're like, well, we can't do anything. And he's like, okay, are you going to develop some young guys? Do you have a young core? Like, they don't, like, what are we doing there? You're not just taking that deal unless it's by far the most money. And that's kind of the rock and the hard place the Pirates are in, to give them a little bit of credit. They can't go out and get a big deal. All the deals are out of their price range because they haven't developed well. That's the thing. You have to develop a core before it's worth it to add to it. And they haven't really done that outside of Paul Skeens. They have some solid players, but like, they don't have like what the Phillies were brought up with, those young guys, or the Orioles, right? They haven't done that yet. And that's the big problem. The problem is, if you don't develop well, there's no reason to sign free agents, because Josh Naylor's just not going to take that deal because there's nobody, you can't make a big enough difference on your team. And there's very little trust that anything will be done to make that better. So why would you sign that big deal? So you can't just go out and be like, give out big money right away. There's a lot of other problems that are going to prevent that player from taking that deal. Okay. So I just want to see the Pirates sign anybody for more than Liriano got. That's what I want. Pirates, anybody. More than 3 years, 39. That's it. That's not a big deal. That's a small deal. Anybody. Sign anybody. Anyone at all, please. Number 2, Kyle Tucker, the number 1 on our list. The team that I think would be wildly interesting for him to sign with is the Kansas City Royals. Now, a team that really struggled with offense in their outfield, though they had some good defense. They mix and match their outfield so much with a lot of veterans. This guy would be a godsend for the Kansas City Royals. He would make them an 81 and 81 team this year. Or no, they were 82 and 80, I believe. They're right there. He could make a big enough difference to where he could push them, him and Bobby Witt Jr. It would be massive. Now, I think he's going to be outside their price range. But if they went for it, like, they have an exciting team. Now, that's an example of a team that a free agent might be excited about going to because they're right there. It's interesting, maybe. So Kyle Tucker to the Royals, wildly interesting. Do I think it'll happen? Not a snowball's chance in hell. But if he did, it'd be cool. All right, number 3, Bo Bichette. Okay, I lied. There's one guy I had going to the Mets. That's Bo Bichette. I want to see Bo Bichette play second base with Francisco Lindor. I think he would fulfill a hole, especially if they don't re-sign Pete Alonso, who we're about to talk about in a moment. Bo Bichette on the Mets is intriguing to me. He solves a problem. He is a pure hitter in a lot of ways, and they have the money to do it. So this one actually could happen. That or trade for Ketel Marte. We'll see. I would not doubt if the Mets went for a second baseman somewhere. Okay, speaking of Pete Alonso, Polar Bear Pete, where would be interesting to see him go? The Cleveland Guardians. Now, can you imagine Pete Alonso on the Cleveland Guardians with that current bang box of a park now? Going to right center, constantly hitting that jet stream, hitting 45 home runs for a team that desperately needs offense every year and desperately needs power. This is one of the best guys at hitting guys in. He had 126 RBIs last year. What if he went to the Guardians? Now, it would have to be one of those bridge deals like he signed with the Mets with opt-outs, but it's possible. Now, does he want to go to Cleveland? I don't know, but it would be fun to see. All right, and the last one, Cody Bellinger. I have a confession. DK made a case for Dodgers, but I'm going to pick a different team I want him to go back to, and that's the Cubs, because Kyle Tucker's gone now. I think he should go back to the Cubs. I think he likes it there. I think they like him, and I think that team is close. So it'd be cool to see him back in Wrigley. All right, let's talk about some Japanese free agents as well. I'll give you a little bit of the skinny on those guys, because there are 3 pretty big ticket guys coming over and posting this year. We have, number 1, Tatsuya Imai. I think I got it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to do my best to pronounce these correctly, but linguistics is not my thing. Or semantics, I guess, is it? Whatever. Okay, so Imai is a pitcher, obviously. 5'7", 27 years old. He went 10-5 with a 1.92 ERA last year with the Seibu Lions, and he struck out 178 and 163 innings. Dominant, throws really hard, runs it up to 99, has a very, very good sweeper slider thing, and relies heavily on his exploding fastball. Now, I don't know if he has a ton of right. I don't know if this is a Roki Sasaki type of fastball. It'd be interesting to see. He is Japanese, and he is a pitcher. He throws a changeup and a splitter. Can't not throw a splitter, and started incorporating a sinker late in the season, so he's gone from a 2-pitch mix to a 5, but just like Roki and just like many Japanese players come over, they usually have a good fastball and then an out pitch, and then the rest is kind of like to get to those 2 pitches, with the exception of Yamamoto, who very clearly was paid correctly. But he is a big ticket pitcher. At 27, he is young. That is a good time to go to free agency. He was extremely effective last year, and the Athletic's Tim Britton projects Imai will receive an 8-year, $190 million deal. So who does that mean he can go to? There's a few. But it is very interesting to see what his market will be, because everyone can use that kind of starting pitcher. Next up, we have Kazuma Okamoto. I'm pretty sure he goes by Kaz, but he is 6'1", 29-year-old, 6-time All-Star over there in Japan. He only played in 69 games nice in the Central League last season, but he ended the year with an OPS over 1,000 and 15 home runs and fewer than 300 plate appearances. So when he was healthy, he was very good, and people can use him for sure. You might remember him, or maybe this picture, when he hit the go-ahead home run and the deciding home run against Team USA in the 23 WBC. So very, very, very interesting. That is not him, actually. The next guy is. I got ahead of myself. I'm so sorry. We'll see him this is actually Murakami. This is Munetaka Murakami. He is the third baseman. So this is the third baseman. We'll see the other guy in a minute. My bad. The 6'2". This guy's 25 years old. He has 246 home runs in 892 games, and he had a 56 homer season in 22, which was 3 years ago, which was when he was 23, which is impressive. Okay, he had 22 home runs with 47 RBIs this last year, but over 1,000 OPS in a shortened season. Obviously, he also had an injury, but played really well when he was healthy. But his strikeout rate is a big red flag right now. So in Japan, they have equivalent of Baseball Savant, where you have all of the numbers like in a chart where it shows where you are in the percentage. So the red is good and blue is bad. He is in like the first percentile in strike, swing and miss, chase, strikeout rate, whiff, all that stuff. But there is a caveat. His numbers, though high, 29% strikeout rate, 28% strikeout rate. There was a year where he was 22%, which is about Brett Rooker last year, which is pretty good. Those are very high numbers, but there's a few guys in the major leagues with those numbers. The reason it's concerning is because it's Japan, and in Japan, usually the league average in all of those numbers is lower because it's harped on to put the ball in play and don't strike out as much as swing and miss. So it's kind of amplified by that. He's really high for that group, but that group generally is lower than in the United States because of the way that they're approached. So he might fit into the US a little bit more. But that said, Japanese pitchers also tend to strike out less players too. So Which thing is going to give first? Is the swing and miss going to get much worse in the United States? Is it going to go down because he changes, he gets a different approach? Or is it going to stay about the same because those two things offset? It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Also, this is Okamoto right here. This is him. And that's him running around the bases after he hit that home run. So I apologize for getting those mixed up. My bad.